I lived on Gibbon Street, which is on the north end of town, which if you could do a straight line, it would go right to Douglas School. You could, from where I lived, you could look across the track if there weren't houses and stuff and see the school. Well, unless you wanted, unless you wanted to go down across the tracks and cross over or under a train, you had to walk all the way around to what we call the turntable that is now down by the cold storage. So we would go from Gibbon Street and have to walk all the way around. So at this time, the cold storage of course, kept apples. Well, I was coming home from school one day around the long way because I didn't want to climb over the trains or under the trains because it's dangerous. And they were having an apple fight. They were throwing apples back and forth across the street at each other. And I got hit on the side of my head. Now, this was the times when parents didn't think about concussions. And I don't really have any memory of a whole segment of time after I got hit. And I don't even remember telling my grandmother about it until days later that it happened. Yeah. I can remember the pain that I felt even when I talk about it now. But it just hit me like right here on the side of my head with the apple that somebody was throwing across the street at somebody else because they were having an apple fight. Some kind of, I don't know what it was all about, but they decided to do it that way, and I got hit by it. And I remember just continuing to I remember getting hit, and I ended back up. I guess I kept walking because I ended up at home. So, of course, I use that as an excuse for having a bad memory, which could be possible. But I'm sure I had a concussion. You know, I mean, this day and time, I would have gone to the hospital. But first of all, I never even told her right away. So, but walking, except for that horrible experience, we really did walk to school in a lot of snow. That's not one of the stories. But it wasn't uphill all the way, up forward and backward. You know, usually the story is, well, you know, we walked to school 20 miles, you know, both ways in the snow. But there wasn't school cancellation for snow. You went to school. You put on your pants and your boots and your coat and everything, and you got your books, and you walked to school in the snow. That was it. And it's amazing that kids can't go to school. I mean, I understand the theory now and this day and time, but it's just amazing to remember that we went to school and everything. I mean, really bad snows, you know. And but walking to school was an event as well, because you had people you walked to school with. You know, and we called it dropping each other off. Like, I'll pick you up. I pick you up means, you know, I'm the first one to get started, and I go by and we gather each other up as we're walking, and then I drop you off. And somebody, of course, is the last person, usually somebody that has a brother or a sister, to going to the same house. But that was an event as well, walking to school. And the whole thing with the going across the railroad tracks, have you ever, well, I guess you've never done, like, had to go across the track and get up on a train and climb over to get to the next place. We used to do that. It always was a decision of, are we going to go under? Because you go where the connectivity is where the trains are hooked together. So are you going to go under, crawl under, or are you going to climb up and go over? And it depended on whether you thought that they were going to start the train up or not to move it. And it was kind of a guess. It's what you did because you were going to get to school. Your parents said you are going to school. Now, get there the best way you can, which they really didn't want us to do the track, but it was closer. And it wasn't like a straight walk to a track. You went across Cameron Street. Yeah, Cameron Street. Cameron Street was a grassy area, but you had to go down a hill because the tracks are down. The street is up here. So you had to go down a hill, then go across the track and back up a hill, and then over to Kent Street to the school. And you did that without, I mean, it was what had to be done. You know, you do what you know to do. And living black in America, you do what you know you have to do. And that's not new now. That's always been. And so you did that because you had to get to school. And you wanted to get to school.